All right, back in the field with the track stars. Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah was good.
All right, make sure that you are going to nectardistro.com for all your distribution needs. You can go to Nectar Distro right now. You can sign up and have your music distributed to more than 200 plus digital outlets. So make sure that you click that button today. Subscribe, join the Nectar family. We got some great things coming. I keep teasing it, but it's really, really coming soon. All right, talk to you.
All right, so today's gonna be interesting. Wande tweeted out something that got some attention, and it's a dangerous topic, but we're gonna tiptoe into it. Jeremiah, can you read what she said?
Okay, Wande tweeted, I'm gonna just put it out there. There's a trend of Black Christian men in the creative industry not having Black wives. I'm team love, who God calls you to love, but it's kind of like, dang, only 1% of y'all found a Black woman suitable to date, then marry, dead emoji. Conditions that may contribute to this is A, lack of Black friends, B, lack of involvement of organizations that have Black members. A plus B would definitely lead to a huge culture shock when you date a Black woman. And then she says C, subconsciously seeing Black women as less desirable. Then there's also the case similar to church hurt, where some may feel like they're not Black enough and maybe even got clowned. So instead of continue to walk in that particular personality, just decided to cancel Black women as an option. There's also a healthy group who really just fell in love with someone who wasn't Black, which is fine. It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate wait for this group because they're just minding their business, but it still adds to the ratio, unfortunately. Mainly just an observation of the day, but it low-key does send a negative message to young Black women. Similar to the one of never seeing a Disney princess or a Barbie that was Black, that was Black for a long time. Lack of representation leads to people questioning their worth.
My God.
Okay, so it's interesting that she went here because this is very hot. This is a hot topic. Go ahead, Ryan. What you think?
I was gonna say, Sean, you see how everybody is being quiet, like you finna start this off?
Yeah.
Well, he know the rotation.
Oh,
So why?
okay.
So why? So talk about your white wife, Ryan. You know, people assume that we that about us.
Except for me.
We all have beautiful Black wives, so you know. Go ahead and talk about it, Ryan. What did you were you tempted to pursue the white wife?
No. No. Actually, I've never dated outside of my race. Never dated outside of my race, and that was something that it was something that my mom said to me when I was about 14 years old. She said, you know, when you look around the world, you don't see too many good, honest Christian Black men. She said, I want to raise you to the standard that you would become one of those men. She said, but it would really please my heart if you shared your life with a beautiful Black queen. And that stuck with me. Yeah, that stuck with me. And I never strayed away from that. I never had, you know, a phone conversation, went on a date with anybody outside of my race.
Wait, you saying it like it's like that's a good thing? Like,
No, I'm just saying I never had a chance to mix cultures with anyone. Like I went to a HBCU. By the time I was ready to date, I had a lot in front of me, had a lot of choices. So, and then I went to an all Black church where the ratio there was probably 25-1. You know, my college ratio was 25-1. So I really had everything kind of like laid out for me.
So let's set up why this is a topic. There's a, and I want Jasmine to weigh on in this and let me know if this is true. There's an assumption or a thought that Black men are choosing women outside of their race because Black women are undesirable to Black men specifically. And why is that? Like, why does it seem like the Kanyes and the rich Black men? I mean, he called it before it happened. Like, I'm gonna leave my Black girl for a white girl. Like, why does that seem like a level up to a lot of Black guys? And is there something wrong there? And is there a reason why so many people in our space specifically seem to reflect that as well? Is that a statement, or is that just, you know, the environment you're in, kind of, these are women that you see? There's a lot of white people who love Christian hip hop, so there's, you know, more people that will be around. And it's not, Christian hip hop is not just a black thing, right? So there's all kinds of races around. So you may meet somebody that you love that's not black. Like, is this a problem, or is it just interesting? What do you think, Jasmine?
I would say I'll start with interesting. I'll start with interesting, and I'll give a disclaimer. I want to say to Living Faith Bible Fellowship, KB Amin, and Southside Rabbi, I did not start this conversation. I need them to know this was all Trackstarz.
It's actually Wande.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna put it on one day.
We just put Wande made the cake. We put the icing on it.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I say that because when I lived in Tampa, I noticed that was a thing, that Black women in my church were the ones who were unmarried, and the other races in my church were pursued and or married. And I created conversation around this. Conversation that my pastor began to continue in discipleship with men, because it was a thing. And when I say it was a thing, I mean, again, I've been out of Tampa for 5 years, so things have changed drastically due to those conversations and the discipleship, right? But what a lot of those people said, Black and non-Black, we ended up having a gathering of almost all the millennials in my church and our pastors and a few older people. And the guys were saying, but the Black women we see on TV are ratchet, are loud, are disrespectful, or my mom mistreated me, and you know, I didn't have dad, and I didn't want that kind of person in my life romantically, or I just think these other women are more beautiful.
They said it like that?
People said this out their face?
On a stage? At the church?
We were candid, sir.
Oh, wow.
We were candid.
Wow.
And let me also say, since I said a couple of names, this was not KB and Amin saying this. But yeah, these were other brothers in the church expressing this. And I needed candid conversation because nobody was having it. And if you know me, if nothing else, I'm authentic. And so we had these candid conversations, and it hurt.
Yeah. It
hurt bad. But yeah, these were their real experiences, and only through and I remember responding to one of them saying, I know these people on TV are this, but are any of the Black women in this room like that? And he thought about it, and he was like, no, none of you are. Like, none of the Black women I know are like that. And I was like, so why do you characterize?
Yes.
You're like
Characterize. Yeah.
why do you do that to us if that's not really us? And he didn't know, but that was his thing. And so yeah, your environment has a lot to do with it. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to date outside the race, to marry outside the race, because honestly, I don't think it is. But where I have always thought it was wrong is when Black women weren't even in the running, especially when you're Black. I have a big problem with that.
Yeah, they're not even being considered.
Even being considered.
So I think why this is important, because this is not a knock on the guys that do have wives that are not Black.
Right.
This is more so making sure that our Black sisters don't feel like they're undesirable. Like that's
right.
your whole thing right now, right? So
Right.
I just want to make sure that it's not a knock on anybody who's outside of, that's not a Black woman that ends up marrying a Black man. This is not like a diss on you. This is just to reinforce our sisters to make sure they know that they're loved. My wife is black and she is gorgeous, like the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen. Right. So this, I never had any like wish to, it's not like it's like, oh, that would be better. You know, like I think a lot of people believe like black guys are just waiting for the moment they can get a white wife. You know, like that's how it's set up in pop culture, where the lighter the better, the whiter the better. That's not the case for everybody. I guarantee you there's a man of God that's going to see you and say, you are gorgeous to me, right? Unfortunately, because of television and culture, that kind of gets willowed away, because like the guys that admitted that day, what you see on TV is kind of what you aspire to, right? And if black women are always being held in a negative light on television, whoever's fault that is, you're going to internalize that. You're going to internalize when Kanye says left my girl for a white girl, whatever. Like, you're going to internalize that. Oh, that must mean white girls are better. Like, that must mean this and this, you know? So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of things young men are exposed to, pornography, you know, culture, TV, music videos, that makes it seem like that is better. And there's a lot of unlearning that has to happen for people who have been subjected to that. But even if that's all the case, there's still a young man that's going to look at you and say, wow, that is going to happen. So don't get discouraged by that. That's my message.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it happens so much in athletics?
Happens all over the place, bro.
Ooh.
I see it happening more in athletics than anything. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to jump right in because but I definitely, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think oftentimes white women are seen as a prize from that, you know, dating back to the times where men of other races weren't allowed to date them. By the time they got to, it was like, oh shoot, you see, I got one, you know, and I will also say that there is this stereotype. I'm not saying it's true, but the stereotype that they are more submissive and or more tolerant. And yeah, and sometimes people that are in the limelight, they like to enjoy other people. or do things that aren't, you know, that we wouldn't think are good in a monogamous relationship. And so they try to find somebody more tolerant. Yeah.
I would just say,
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say real quick, Ryan, just for the young ladies, remember it goes both ways. Some of the guys that you are looking at as, oh, they're always dating white girls or blah, blah, blah. Not every guy that you see that's successful is something to be desired either. There's a lot of guys that are successful and their white wife or their black wife or whatever is miserable. You see what I'm saying? So not every guy that you see that you're like, man, I wish I could have gotten him, or I wish I could. Those guys aren't all great either. Most of them aren't. So don't be envious of what somebody else is getting, because they're probably not happy either. So there's somebody for you. Be patient for that person, because you don't want everybody else's husband. They don't even want their own husband. So don't envy that.
Can I ask you a question? What do we say to the guy that just says, I'm black, but I just don't desire a black woman. I just want to be with a white woman or a Hispanic woman or Asian woman. I just feel like my surroundings growing up, I just got rejected by, going deep. I got rejected by black women. They thought I was corny. They thought I was a sucker. So I'm just more comfortable with like being around other race of women and dating them. What would we say to a guy like that?
I think a response is that, even with what Jasmine said that she heard from the church too, is that people grow up. We were rejected by a lot of black women. Corny. We were called lame. Come on now, weren't we? Right? Remember, I told you I took a girl to church and she was like, I just can't get with this whole church thing.
Let Ryan tell it.
Well, I mean, when I was, okay, all right. There's a story behind that. I've never been dumped. There's a story behind rejection and dumping. There's times where I just didn't get the number. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it.
Because I used to make a sport out of getting the number. But yeah, there's times where so my thing is, I feel like a lot of times we grow up, right? And so even if a woman was that way, you know, we talk about this with youth ministry all the time. Kids that are on fire in their youth ministry, they go away to college, they come back, they go out, they do crazy things, and then they get to 25, and they're like, wait a minute, I want to ground myself in the Lord again, right? It's all a part of growing up and seeing what wasn't good and now seeing what is, you know, can be good. So I think it's a way for people to grow out of their insecurities, especially for the people who said, you know, my mother treated my father bad. So that doesn't make sense. That means everybody that looks like you or in your family, you have a problem with them now. You can't get past what your mother did to your father. That doesn't make sense.
The Christian Fam channel,
even though this woman has a totally different bloodline and she's raised differently, she may not be anything like your mother, but because of her skin color reminds you of your mom, you're not going to date her. That don't make sense.
That Christian Fam channel said most black men, including myself, hate to see that hair bonnets and pajamas in public. That stuff is for the crib. I'm going to talk about it on our channel.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
All right.
So is that why?
Okay.
No, he's married. He's actually married.
Totally different.
He's actually
That's
married.
a totally different.
But what he's saying is,
totally
So
different
we're being honest today. Okay, got it. All right, go ahead.
so that's what
Jasmine.
he's saying. He's saying most black men don't like to see women out in pajamas and bonnets. Like that's what he's saying.
But that's a
even
whole
that,
other reason.
That is such a stereotype. I mean, it's not a stereotype. It happens, but that is not all black women. Nobody
On certain
in
sides
my
of town,
circle
it
is
happens.
going out. You're right. On certain sides of town.
On certain parts of town, it happens.
Yeah. You go to the right Walmart, you go see that. You go to another Walmart, you may not see that.
We need that Monique spirit just to tap people. Like, sister, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing with that bonnet?
But that also has to do with guys in wave caps in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife won't let me wear my wave cap in public, so I'm not gonna let her wear her bonnet in public. If she even wears a bonnet, I don't know.
Going down the wrong path here.
I'm saying it's the same
wear your
way.
bonnet
Like,
if you want to wear your bonnet. That's not.
Okay,
that's not the
my wife is not gonna let me wear a
here's a
wave
real
cap
question.
in public, y'all.
Is somebody on our team that likes black men and she's white, right?
Oh
so
my
what do you
God.
say to her? Like, what do you say to her that's like, I want a black man. I don't want to be with no white man.
Right.
I'm asking the questions. I mean,
But in
all
this
goes with
conversation,
This is Jeremiah talking. This is not Trackstarz talking.
That's what she says.
What
I mean,
the
she doesn't say it all the time, but you know, some people have preferences. I think that's another conversation.
It is.
Are people's preferences wrong? Like
how many white women do we have on our team, everybody?
I just said her name. She's in the comments right now.
So
I'm wrong, Ashley. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We raw today. I'm sorry.
We just got her back on Thursday night calls.
Get me back. She like me more than y'all anyway. Okay, so.
Okay, Ashley. First of all, hey sis, we gonna call you sis because we love you, sis. and second of all, I have white friends and friends of different races who also like black men, and I don't think that them liking black men is a problem, but I agree. I mean, like the same thing I said earlier, if your own race is not even considerable to you, why? Like if you like other races, cool. But if you wouldn't even do a white man and you white, Ashley, I really do think you didn't think about why. But yeah. That's
maybe she like that suave, that walk, that swagger.
Hey,
maybe that's what she likes.
The melanin,
the dreadlocks. We know what she likes, so that's what she tells us.
The melanin is fly, and I ain't mad at you, sis. I like them too.
I think there's a difference between preference. Preference is fine. I think what the only thing that matters in this conversation is we're just making sure that black women aren't being put in an undesirable box. If I see that happening, then we have a problem, because if that's the way it's trending, that people are thinking of black women as undesirable, then that needs to be solved. That needs to be fixed, because that's not true. So that's the only thing. Preferences, you can do whatever you want, but we just need to make sure that we're not sending a message to our black sisters that they're not desirable. That's a problem.
What's some false things about black women that would make black men think they're undesirable?
Narratives.
I think if you're not dating black women because of something you think they do, that's almost that's dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say that.
Yeah.
If you just visually aren't attracted to that, I can't force you to be. But if you're not attracted to a black woman because you think she's gonna be a certain way, that's really dumb. Everybody is completely different. You have no idea what somebody's gonna be like unless you get to know them. So get to know them and judge them off of that. I can't help your eye though. Like if you're a guy that just is not even appealed, then that's a problem you have to pray about. But I'm really bothered by the notion of I'm not dating a black girl because of their reputation. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Or maybe, and this is gonna sound bad, and you can put the disclaimer back up. Maybe that's just that's them being observant in the wrong environment. If you get what I'm saying, like when you in an environment where you are observing things, because I know I'm an observer. If I get into an environment I'm not used to, or I've never been, I could just sit there, or I could be standing up watching, and I could come to a conclusion about somebody, regardless of their race, just how they act, how they talk, how they carry themselves. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes some black guys could do that, where they may be in a situation where a young lady is loud, or another young lady is like she's doing too much, and that could be their surroundings. When they're in that surroundings, when they're in that area, sometimes they could think that way about all black women, which isn't right.
If you don't like that, fine. Everybody is not like that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
There's white people that act like that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But every time they go, like, quote unquote, go into surroundings or go somewhere, and if prime example, let's say they're from Kennesaw, right? If you know Georgia, you're in Kennesaw, and then you go to Atlanta, right? You're in Atlanta, and you see something that you're not seeing in Kennesaw. It would be a little bit different, if I'm not mistaken. Like that would be your own like box that you're putting black women in, because you're thinking those stereotypes of black women when you go to Atlanta. If you see that in Atlanta, you get what I'm saying? But if you're around black women in a different environment that kills those stereotypes, then what you gonna say about that? You know what I mean?
I have a problem with even making it seem like those women are not desirable. Like just because you don't like it, don't mean they're not desirable. There's people who like those people.
Yeah, so, they are, but that guy don't. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So what I'm saying is like I don't even want to characterize people as you just around the wrong kind of black women. Like no, this kind of black women. Everybody is different.
No, but I'm saying what I'm saying, Sean, is based off that person. That person could be like, I don't want that at all. I don't want that attributes for a wife at all. And like you're saying, we can't be like they're wrong for that, because that's their preference. If they don't want a wife that's what he's saying, you get what I'm saying? And regardless of her race, that's what I'm saying. Regardless of her race, but he may put that on her race because that's what he sees, and what he clicks on television is matching what he sees in reality. Unfortunately,
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
I just have a problem with even saying, "Oh, you're right about some of the black girls, just not all of the black." Like, no, just stop talking about black people in general. Period. You just don't like that girl, okay? Fine. You don't like that one either. Fine. Just deal with yourself first, because I don't even think about people that way. I don't like that kind of person. Like, stop doing that. It shouldn't even be like that.
I think it mostly has to do with the culture in the environment that you're around. Sean and I were at a hip hop radio station. I was there for 7 years, right? It became a part of me. That's why I still prefer like down south rap more than anything else, because it was drummed into my head every single day that I walked through the office, right? There's a radio station. If you ever work at a radio station, guess what they do? They play the radio all day long, because they're listening to the ads that play. They're listening to the DJs. So you're listening to the radio all day long if you work at a radio station. And so birthday bash, the dirty award, we were around all these different environments that made us gravitate more to our culture. HBCUs. So it doesn't have to do with, you selecting a certain race. It just happens to be what falls in line with where you are. That's what it was for me.
I would say the category of person you marry should not matter whatsoever. Like if you see your wife or the person you're interested in as, that is a white girl or a black girl or a certain type of black girl. No, that's a person. What's her name? Like she's an individual. Yeah. You're not dating a type of person. You're dating that person. I just it bothers me to even talk about groups of people this way. That's not how it works. Like this is how I believe as a Christian. This is how you're supposed to be dating. You're not supposed to be trying to date a type of girl or this type of girl, a girl with this kind of hair or that kind of hair. It's about what's your purpose and who's God chose for you to help you with that purpose, and you're helping her with hers. That's the most important thing. Does she love Jesus? Is she following her purpose? Is she reading the Bible on her own? Is she plugged in somewhere? That's what matters. Like all this other stuff is
but you can't get to that step until you address the part of attractiveness.
I don't
you
think
can't
so.
Get to that step. You can't find out what a person's interests are.
That's not true. Jeremiah married his wife not off a holler. He didn't holler at Maya. They were friends.
No, I'm not saying that.
I thought you said something else, bro. I'm attracted to my wife. I don't know what you talking about.
What I'm saying is,
it sounded like you was going that lane. I was like, hold up, brother.
What I'm saying is Jeremiah didn't pick up Maya at the mall or at a club. He was like, "Oh, I'm attracted to her."
I didn't pick up Toya at the mall or the club.
That's the point. What I'm saying is that's a false narrative. You can get to know somebody before you even start thinking about stuff like that. Like that.
But most people
an
don't.
Attractive girl came over to me.
As a woman, I'm about to talk about the attractiveness piece, but I know.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I agree with Ryan that for most men, they don't get to everything else before they get past what they see, what they're attracted to. And Sean, as sweet as that response was, I've seen your wife, honey. That woman is late. Sis is fly. And I just, I mean, I don't know you. I didn't know you before, but I doubt, brother, that you would have seen somebody who wasn't quite as fly and been like, "But what are you reading this week?"
That's facts.
You have got to come back to the show more often.
That's true. Yeah.
We need these rebuttals that Sean throws out. We need them.
She got me on that. She's
always
fine.
putting everybody else in the hot seat, getting them in trouble.
My
we
wife
need
is
this.
fine. But what I'm saying is, I wasn't categorizing her as, oh, she's this type of woman or this type. I wasn't looking for a type of woman. It was this girl is beautiful to me. I don't care what she was.
Exactly.
And these are the reasons why I like her, and it was far beyond how she looks. You see what I'm saying? That's
right. But you didn't know anything about her ministry until you got to know her with the hello. How are you doing? My name is Sean. So I'm saying that the attraction part is what everybody stumbles over.
Yeah, and I know earlier Sean said, he can't help with the eye gate, and I think that's such a tough piece, like because we can't get to the other stuff until we get by attraction. If some men are not attracted to Black women, like how would y'all as men address that? I will tell you that I believe my pastor in Tampa, it took time and long conversations and Bible. He's married to a Black woman. And I remember one guy specifically did not want to date or marry a Black woman. And after the conversations, the discipleship, he is married to a Black woman with locks and when that happened, I was like, my mission is accomplished. I have done the work of the Lord, and I can rest away. But yeah, what would you guys say to a man who doesn't find Black women attractive?
I think you gotta ask first. I think you gotta ask them first, like why.
There's a root cause.
Yeah. Why don't you? What is something? Because I think we date people based off of a lot of things. I think a lot of men think date women based off of like your experience with that woman or maybe that race of women. Then also like that as much as we talk about father and daughter, mother and son does matter, because at the end of the day, for some men, they want those qualities that they see in their wives. I mean, in their moms, in their wives as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know your mother can, is a great woman, and she like, you love her, she treated you right, and XYZ. Then your relationship with your wife, or your relationship with when you get into a relationship with your girlfriend or whatever, you see it there. You get what I'm saying? Like, you understand that, you kind of understand that situation. So I think that's one area as well. But it's deeply rooted. You know what I'm saying? And I think some stuff Wande did say was that, like, you know, it could be your church, honestly. And we had the discussion before you got on about how you go to multicultural churches, or you may be the only black person in your church, or, you know what I mean, you got all these other races, and in those churches, you may be the man in that church, and people may desire you, and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? So it may be something like that as well. So I don't know. It's a lot. It's like I said, experience to me is one of the key moments in this situation with why black men wouldn't date black women, because that, to me, it their experience of how did you experience black women growing up as a kid, as a teenager, in your 20s, your 30s, you know what I mean, before you got married. Like, what's your experience with black women as a black man? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it sometimes great, sometimes bad, whatever, you know what I mean?
So I'll just say this. We're going to talk about relationships more, because it seems like a lot of this is important for a lot of people. My wife really believes we should do a dating show. Help some people out, you know what I mean?
That'd be dope.
That would be interesting.
Hey, that used to be Rick's
in the
thing.
field.
That used to be Rick's thing. eHarmony.
So that would be interesting. I just letting you know, we've been married for quite a while, and a lot of single people out there feel like we've forgotten about them. We have not forgotten. We care about you guys, and we want to make sure you guys don't feel left out. So we'll talk more about this kind of stuff to help people navigate this. It's one of the hardest times in life, but looking back now, don't miss the advantage you have now. Like, there's a huge advantage of being able to really focus on Jesus, really not have any distractions, not have to worry about anybody else. That's an advantage. It doesn't feel like one now, but it's a huge advantage when it comes to getting things done for Christ. So don't miss this chance you have, because when you look back, you're not going to be able to get that back, and you're going to realize how precious it was. So, but we'll be doing more stuff around this to help you guys out. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful in some sort of way. I don't know if it was. What do you think, Jasmine?
I think it was.
You think it was?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to get the calls?
Yeah.
You going to get calls, Jeremiah. You
Why?
getting calls.
Well, I'm going to get calls.
You going to get calls from some team members.
No, first off, my wife is going to come to my house and be like, so what was that about? That's what I'm going to explain myself to her. And Ashley on there agreeing with me, like, yeah, Jeremiah, this is my number.
Dang.
She is.
Yeah, I would love to do. I would love to do a show where we put people together. I think that would be dope. I really do. Well, I mean, because we're talking about
yay, nay. We don't know these people, man.
But you know what? You wouldn't have been able to do this before you got married and feel like you could help people out until you get to the point where you're like, you know what? This might come up in marriage, and you
I know one thing we could do for you young ladies that are like interested in somebody and you don't know about them. Bring them past us.
Bet them. We'll bet them.
Yeah, it'd just be 3 squares and then he's the 4th one.
We'll do a vetting show, run him through the mills, see if he about what he about, and then
ask him tough questions.
Exactly.
Ask him, does he like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion?
Let's see your like history.
Many of their videos have you watched?
Following on Instagram.
Exactly. Anyway, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Shantana, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.